Hi, my name is Naval Air Station Pensacola. We have a reported gunshot in building 633. There's a large number of police officers that are entering the area right now, specifically the aviation safety building.
Guy in the green flight suit and the green jacket, and then I heard gunshots and people falling.
We got a room in here. One black male shot in the leg by the femoral artery, and I have one Navy officer shot up here multiple times.
4 are dead and 11 injured in total, and information is slowly coming in about some of those victims. One of those who is injured right now is the assistant wrestling coach at Gulf Breeze High School.
For the first time tonight, we are hearing from the Gulf Breeze High School assistant wrestling coach, Ryan Blackwell.
So everybody, I'm doing well. Appreciate your support, your love, and everybody coming to visit and their prayers and whatnot. I expect to make a full coverage in a matter of time. I'm thankful to be here. Thankful to have people like all you guys just sharing your love with me, giving me hope.
He was shot 6 times and still chose to stand. Inside NOS Pensacola, Ryan Blackwell became a human shield, bleeding, breaking, but never backing down. Now, every scar tells a story, and every lesson he teaches could be the one that saves a life. Because some heroes don't wear medals, they carry the weight of the ones they couldn't save.
We're here with Ryan Blackwell. Today we're going to learn about his journey. So it started here while he was working on December 6, 2019, during the terrorist attack on this base. He was shot 6 times while defending his room and protecting all his employees. The whole thing took 27 minutes, but it felt like forever to Ryan Blackwell. He's going to walk us through the story, so thanks for all being here. Ryan, you take it from here.
Yeah, no, I appreciate everybody coming. When we come in and check in, you're going to see like where the watch is at. None of this was set up like that. It was wide open. They have since made it super secure and put different things in place. So as we walk in, you can look to the left as well and see the 3 service members that passed away. So I'm going to relate a lot of this to wrestling. You'll kind of see how wrestling just is the best sport ever. So I came into work down the hallway that way. My office was off to our right as we walked down the hallway. The shooter passed my office down that way, coming this way as well. What I can say is in that auditorium right there, about 30 minutes post of when this shooting occurred, if this would have occurred 30 minutes later, there'd been 700 people in that auditorium, and there wasn't yet because of the time frame of where this took place at. It took place at 6:46 is when I first got shot in the morning. The muster morning meeting was at 7:30 at the time, so how close things were. The shooter came in through those doors down at the end of the hallway as well. He came down to here. He killed the 3 service members here, and then so you can see how close my office was. I could hear them fighting him right here. So I was in my office, I could hear a gunshot, and it was like echoing throughout the hallways, right? Then I hear the guy start screaming and yelling and fighting the guy. And you guys can follow me now. So like as he was here, from here to where we get about 3 doors down is like the time frame that I had to like get everything into place and to protect, like not even myself, but to figure out what you're gonna do in an active shooter situation, if that makes sense. The office that I was in was right here. This is the same door of when I was here. There's a bullet hole still here in the door that they had painted over, and you can see this glass pane is different than the rest of them. So what had happened was, as we heard the shooting take place down the hallway, in my office was me and 2 other service members in there. So I was positioned over on this side behind the desk. There was one sitting right here by the door and then one by the table. So as we heard the shooting, I came up, I stepped forward. The gentleman that was closest to the door that's over on this side, I had told him to shut the lights off and to close this door because I knew this keypad was on there. The lady that was in front of me, I had told her to go behind me and take cover. There's 2 windows on in the back of this office. It was a pretty small office, right? So we were able to get this closed. As soon as we got this closed, the shooter came down and he shot this window out right here. And he shot me 6 times and he shot the guy next to me 7 times. When the active shooter first happened, we got the door closed. I got on my phone and I had called my office supervisor and I had told him there was an active shooter, not to enter the building, so I knew he would come down from this way. And he had told me to get out of there, is what he said. And as soon as he said to get out of there, my hands on like this, he shoots the window out and he shoots me in my arm and I dropped my phone. and there was one of the girls that was behind me, so I had rotated counterclockwise, and I covered her with my body and was shot 5 more times. I had fallen over to my side at that point and was covering my head, just thinking, don't get shot, don't get shot, don't get shot in the head. Then it was like the shooting had stopped, and I could hear my phone, and it was saying, Blackwell, Blackwell, you still there? But like where I was at in space and time was like I had a kaleidoscope moment. Like I was just kind of like super stressed out and fearful of dying, and then I got super comfortable with just to seeing what was going to happen next in the journey that we all going to have to go through, right? I just had a complete wave of peace come over me in the middle of this guy just unloading on us. He put 14-round magazine into this office, and like the only thing I could think of at the time was just like, how many times like you've been there, like Blackwell, get up, gotta get up, you know, short time, gotta get up, you know. And it's just thinking that like wrestling, I've been programmed my whole life like that, and that's like literally what came to my mind. I crawled to my phone. It was still on the call with my captain. I said, sir, we've all been hit. I'm gonna get us out of here and I'll call you back. That was as I was like making a pan of the room, and I could see everybody that got shot in here. And I just put the phone in my pocket, and there was a window in the back, and ran to the window. At the time, my right arm was paralyzed, so I couldn't use it, so I used my left hand to open up to unlock the window and pull the AC unit out, and the window came down. I was with my back trying to get the window open, and I didn't know if he was still here at the door, and all he had to do was go in. So he stood right here and just got me, and then got him, and then it just like kept going. I'm there with my back trying to get the window open. We can't get it open, and I ended up having the 2 colleagues that were in there help me get it open. And we jump out the window. We took off to a building across the street, and that gentleman had a broken leg, and the girl had a flesh wound on her calf. So like I had jumped out first. We had lowered the gentleman with the broken leg down to me, and then the lady, she had jumped out next. And like the shooter actually checked in with me 18 months prior to shooting me, and he used to study right next door in the classroom. So I can show you where all that is at. But this is a classroom, bullet hole still in the door. You can see the glass pane that they swapped out. So like this is like where it all happened at. He was shooting a Glock 45 9mm, but it was ball rounds. So the problem with the ball rounds is they ricochet like a bouncy ball. If it's a hollow point, it's going to mushroom, and this isn't going to be a conversation we're having right now, right? So it was like a bouncy ball, like a pinball going all over. I took one in the arm, one off the side of my ribs, 2 came into my back, 1 came out the inside of my right thigh, the other one came out my left hip, my right calf, and my left foot. The only thing I thought was I got shot twice. I thought it was like my arm and my leg. I felt like my leg was on fire, and I felt like I knew I couldn't use my right arm. It was just like completely paralyzed. I couldn't use it at all. So while I was getting the window open with the help and we're jumping out, he came down this way, and he went down this hallway, and he started shooting down this hallway, and then he reloaded. This is like where they used to study at in this little classroom right next door to me. He reloaded, came back to my office. By the time of him walking just that distance from here, shoot, and then go back, we were able to get out. And so when he came back to my office, we had jumped right out of the window as he had just came back to my office. So he came right here, and he went back, and then you can kind of see through there, you guys see the steps of the brick building over there on the other side of the tree. That's where I had ran to. Once I jumped out of the window, that's where I had ran to. What you got?
Was he like running back?
He was walking. That's a good question. I had asked him, like, because the SWAT team had came in and they like had took him out, and I was like, what did he look like going through the building? And he said he was like Michael Myers, just like a blank face, just shooting stuff. He wasn't like tactical or running or anything. He was just like shooting, just like coming through and just shooting. So what he did, like the guy came in the morning. He came through this door. He walked by my office. My door was open. I was sitting there checking in the Saudi flight students. That was my job on Fridays. He looked in and smiled at me, and I just said good morning to him. He just smiled at me, and he just like kept walking. He had a green helmet bag, like a green bag in his hand, and he like walked all the way down to like where we walked in at. And then he had killed those 3 guys and then came back. And I didn't know like that was him at the time. But when the whole thing got said and done, and they were like on our way to the hospital, and they said that we got him, I was like, was it a Saudi flight student? They said yes. And I was like, I know who it was. And it was the guy that smiled at me and ended up being that guy. But you know, it was just super eerie that's kind of how it went down. What you got, Kingston?
Were you out the door and running? Was this a glass door, so could he see you through it?
Yeah, but he was that way. So he came down, shot down this hallway, and then went back that way. So once I got out, he went through the building and went upstairs. So you're gonna see when we go upstairs too, like there's a lady that was down the hallway that got injured as well. That was in the admin office. They had shot some students that were upstairs as well. And then it turned into like him being upstairs when the SWAT team came in. So he's shooting down at them, they're shooting up at him. And it was just like a cat and mouse game until they finally got him. Ended up getting him in the far hallway down there. And all this stuff is now secure. It's like got a whole new different kind of setup here. This building, if you want to fly for the United States Navy or the United States Marine Corps or the United States Coast Guard, you go through your academic portion here. So this is like your first step on being a pilot, and you have to go through the academic portion. And this is designed to weed those out that want to be there and those that think they want to be there, just like any other selection process. This is just the academic portion of it. It's a super historical building as far as like all like the pilots and the Blue Angels all have came through this building. Like if you fly for our military, besides the Air Force and the Army, and you're part of the Marine Corps, the Navy, we use Coast Guard and internationals here as well. This is like your hub for education, and then you go on to learn how to fly plane.
Percentage of like the everyday staff who's armed here?
At the time, I don't know what it is now, but at the time it was 0%. The base security, correct, but nobody that was in the building at the time. And so he was able to go throughout the building for 15 minutes and inflict damage and cause a lot of chaos and disruption to just everybody's life.
Did he just do it to kill people?
Yeah, he was part of a terrorist organization called Al Qaeda. It's unfortunate that people do think and act like that, but I mean, that's we got wrestling out of it, so that's the blessing in disguise. This is the window I jumped out of. I landed right here in the bushes. The female that was with me, she had ran to the church right over there, so you can see the steeple up. She ran to the church. I saw like on the other side of this tree, there's the steps I pointed out. I saw some people standing on the steps over there. So whenever I came out, I landed in the bushes, they came out, we all landed here. Got the gentleman up, I got him up on my shoulder, this is his arm, and I put my arm on my head, had him up on my shoulder, and we're running. And we run to the building over there, so about a 100-yard run. Thought I had gotten shot twice, ended up being 6 times, so like that was not probably smart to run hard, you know what I mean? But I had no choice, so we ran over to the other building. I don't know if that's open or not, but that's like a convenience store, like a Sefco, you know, like a Walt or something like that, like without a gas pump. So like you go in there, you can get snack or hot food or whatever. Ran inside, and the gentleman that I was with, he fell on the floor. I told him like, get him up, secure the lobby in there because of all those windows in the front. And I was like, let's get back into the kitchen. And I was like, get rags, get towels, start pressuring wounds. And I was like, I gotta catch my breath. I'm gonna call my wife. And I told her that I loved her and that I had been shot, and I didn't know how bad it was, but I was working on getting myself to the hospital, and I was going to call her back. That's just like what I had told her. And she didn't believe me at first because I had just left the house to go to work. One of the ladies in the kitchen ended up there, and I'm trying to hold rags on my arm because that was my arm and my leg. So I'm like, I gotta fix my arm. I'm getting out of here. It's like office workers are like telling her like, no, he's for real. You know, she believed it then, and then like get off the phone, and I get on the phone with my captain. I tell him like, all right, I'm in this building, but you can't go down this road because there's cops and it's all blocked up. You gotta go on the back road. So I'm trying to give him directions to come pick me up. And as like I'm talking on the phone to him, I started to get like lightheaded, and like just like when you're cutting weight and you stand up too fast, and just like you kind of get a blank vision for a minute. And it was just I was bleeding out. So like I had sat down, I kicked my feet up in the chair. I kind of started like breathing, trying to like just force oxygen back in my blood, and my vision started to come through. And I knew I needed like a tourniquet, and I could start to see my bootlaces, and I was like, give me a knife, I'm gonna cut my bootlaces out and make a tourniquet with my bootlaces, which isn't a good idea, but then it dawned on me, I had a belt on. The office worker told me to take my belt off, looped it around my arm, made a tourniquet with the belt. I pulled it so tight I crushed my arm, is what I did, but it just gave me a boost of adrenaline, and I started to go back on the phone, called my captain. I was like, all right, we're coming out the back right now. He's like, I'm here waiting for you. It's right on the corner of this building. I showed where we got picked up at. I was trying to come out of this door, but they wouldn't let me, because they said like this shooting there, and they're like trying not to let me leave. Like these people in here weren't trying to let me leave. And then they're like, oh, you've been shot up. I was like, yeah, no, I'm getting out of here. I was like, I got to ride around on the corner. So I was like, where's the back door of this place? We end up walking through the hallway, and we come out of that door with the blue awning, and we get picked up in my captain's truck. So we put the one gentleman in the back seat. I got into the front seat of the car, and we just turn left and we just get out of here. We're going down here, we're starting to go up to the front gate. When we get to the front gate, there's like standstill traffic, right? So we're like going off road to get to the front, and they're telling us like we gotta wait to go to the hospital. And this cop, Deputy Green, he said, you're not dying on my watch, get in my car, like we're going. And so like when I opened the door to get in the car, there was one of the security guards that was here that he already gotten brought up to the front gate in a cruiser. And he's sitting in the car, and he got hit in his femoral artery in his leg. He was bleeding out in the back of this car. So I was like, I'm calling in the back of the seat, and I see it. I put my left elbow in his leg, and I just plug his leg up with my elbow. And I'm like, hey, pull on my belt and cinch my arm up as I plug your leg up. And I was like, you help me, I help you. Like, we'll get to the hospital, and we'll be good to go. And so we did that the whole way. And then like while we're on our way to the hospital, I remember calling my wife. She didn't answer. Just trying to tell her like, hey, I'm almost there, you know. And then it came across the radio that we got him. And that's when And he's like, all right, like we got him, he's dead. And then I was like, was it a Saudi flight student? And they're like, it was. And that's when I was like, I know who it was. It was the dude that walked by and smiled at me. But yeah, so once we got that news, I called my dad, who lives in South Carolina, and he was just like telling me like to breathe and just like stay calm and all this stuff. But I was just really telling him like I had made it to the hospital where I was at. The initial call when I got shot was at 6:46. When I had called my dad, I remember pulling into Baptist and seeing the sign for Baptist Medical Group. That was at 7:13, so 27 minutes. 6:46 to 7:13 it took me. From there to get all the way down into Pensacola, 6 gunshot wounds and everything else that was in between. So I mean, it's just a testament what the human body can really take. Oh man, it felt like an eternity, but it was so fast and so slow. Time was so distorted. Like even like inside the office, like I felt like I was I don't know, I had like this crazy adrenaline run going through my body. It lasted for like 2 months. It seemed like I was so amped up on everything, and I was super hyper or like aroused, like just everything that was around me. I was like, I had a military escort home, and when I got out of the hospital, it was kind of a big deal, and just being thrown into it. And I was like, man, this is crazy. When we got to the hospital, I walked into the hospital, and it just happened to be a shift change. So they had 2 sets of nurses and doctors all up in there. So when I had walked in, I was the first one to get to the hospital. I walked in, and they were just looking at me like, what is it? So they knew we were coming. I'm just covered in blood. And that's whenever they put me on they had put me on a stretcher, rolled me back into to the like a metal table like on Hollywood, cut all my clothes off. I was like, oh, I'm good. I've only been hit twice. I said, I'm probably good. And they just like, I got one here. They're like, oh man, we're gonna have to roll you into a CT machine because you got six holes. That's what they counted, and they saw the bullets ricocheted through my body, and that I was gonna have to have emergency surgery, and I was gonna have to have a colostomy bag, which is when they take your large intestine and put it out of your stomach. That's how you go to the bathroom. I'm sitting there like waiting to hear this news of like what's going on. It seemed like forever too, but that was pretty quick. Like this, like getting those tests done and waiting in the ICU for what was about to happen next. The chaplain and the surgeon, that's who it was that walked into my hospital room. So I was already like, dang, like am I dead? You know what I mean? They walked in like, am I dead? And they're like, oh, you're gonna have a colostomy bag. And I was like, what is that? And that's when they told me that's what it was. I'm like, dang, like I like literally like your whole life. And then my arm was paralyzed too, so I was like, what? And they said a prayer with me, rolled me in. I got stomach surgery. 4 months later, I was able to reverse the colostomy bag, so I have no colostomy bag now. I'm like good to go. Got some regenerative medicine for my nerve in my arm, so it's kind of helped regenerate my arm. So able to compete and wrestle and have fun and train, get back.
What are we supposed to be doing that day?
It was like the first term of the season, so I was supposed to be getting off at like noon. I was going to meet the Gulf Breeze High School wrestling team because I was their assistant coach. I was volunteering because I had some free time while I was active duty. As I get to the hospital, I'm like waiting for those results to come through. That's whenever I was like, oh snap, I called Coach Austin and I told him, I was like, hey dude, don't be waiting for me at the Walmart. I was like, I got shot up at work today. I'm going to be a little bit late. I'm not going to make it. Just that's how things go though, when it's supposed to be something so easy, it's never as easy as it's supposed to be, right? It's supposed to be an easy Friday. You go in half day, you check them in, check them out, tell them you need to be shaved by Monday, uniform tight and right, and then now all of a sudden you're tight and right with new guts hanging out your body, so it's just kind of like it's this crazy series of events. So it's kind of how this stuff all went down. And appreciate you guys coming to see it firsthand. Now it makes sense. So you can see like how far I had to run, like where I had to go, navigating through the building. Yes, sir.
Presenting you your medals, your Purple Heart.
My Navy and Marine Corps Medal for heroism and my Purple Heart was presented by Captain Seegers, my base CO. And right after the shooting had happened, he was super positive influence, seeing me in the hospital, checking on me at home. We were both due to get out, getting medically retired, and he was retiring in June. And in May, he died in a plane crash. So we were dealt with like that blow the same month. So as we're trying to like navigate just like the whole active shooter scenario, our CO, which is like your, the head of the snake, he's the your guy that's calling the shots, and he's your Coach Mason, and we lost him. So it was kind of one of those situations. And then COVID happened right in the middle of all of it too. So as I'm going through my surgeries, but now it's not Ryan and his wife can go to the hospital, or the wrestlers can come see me in my room anymore. It's like nobody can see Ryan. He's got to stay in the hospital by himself for a week, So it was just a crazy time to be dealt a hand like that, It's a reminder that it can happen anywhere though. It's just happened here. That's a school. That's just a military school. Once you're in the military, it's still a school. Like it's an active shooter in the workplace. It's having adversity in the workplace. That's I think what my story is really about, is how to overcome that. If you guys don't believe the universe works in weird ways, you got to start thinking in a better aspect, because like I can tell you stuff that I've put out is boomerang back. tenfold for me, you know, and it's got to be the right stuff, though. You know, you fill it with negative stuff, be negative. Like this whole overcoming the shooting and how I was able to do that was staying positive and using wrestling as my vehicle to stay positive. This is Cameron Walters. He was fresh out of high school, just joined the Navy. He was on his first watch, so it's like your duty that you do overnight. He had just graduated boot camp, had just got qualified to be on watch, and it was his first watch that he was serving. This is Mohammed, called Mo Hatham. So it's just crazy, but I've never met him in my life, but his final words like ring in my head every day because I heard him. You know what I'm saying? Like I heard him, like he was just telling this dude like not to do it. You know what I mean? He was just saying like not to do it. And that's why this means something. You know, greater love has no one than this, so that someone laid down his life for his friends. He wasn't even on watch. He was coming to relieve him from watch. He heard the shooting and ran inside the building and like confronted the shooter, and he got shot and killed. And right here, this is Ensign Watson, expert rifleman, and he was the captain of the rifle team at the Naval Academy. That means he's shooting quarters and dimes. His grouping's tight. So this guy was the head of the rifle team at the Naval Academy on watch. He was the ensign. So I was the guy in the brown uniform when we walked in. That was this guy's role. And then the sailors, that was those guys' role. This guy's from Alabama, Florida, Georgia. So it's just crazy to think like with the sport of wrestling, it just makes me want to give back in the sense of just like, I don't know, they didn't wrestle, but it was just like giving back to just their legacy. And you know, like this guy confronted evil face on, knowing he's probably gonna die, knowing he's probably gonna get shot. He ran to somebody shooting two other people. He ran to it, and it's just like, the least I can do is like wrestle hard or wrestle a whole match, you know what I mean, or keep my head up on a shot or get moving on bottom. That's easy. You know what's hard is running out of a building with getting shot in your head and still be able to tell people there's an active shooter. That's hard. That's like makes wrestling easy. I mean, I've been here a couple of times now, you know, and to me it's just like a reinforcement for me to do the right things, work hard, continue to impact others, because there's three dudes behind me that don't get a chance to have a wife, to have kids, to impact the youth, to create their legacy and their impact on the world. You know what I mean? Their life was taken so soon from such a cowardly act, you know, and it's just like, if it's on me to bring the energy, I'm bringing it, you know what I mean? And that's kind of like where I'm at with like putting these guys' memories like to honor, in a sense. I've like met all their parents and everything, but it's just the one thing that really strikes with me is that I've never met him in my life, but I just know like that was his final words. But it kind of saved my life too, because we knew he was coming. You know what I mean? It sounded like a box of books was dropped or something, but it wasn't. It was an active shooter. So yeah, so this is kind of where they pay respect to. Right behind this NAS Pensacola, the graffiti bridge that's downtown, kind of where we drove through. They had painted that. And a guy in the community had painted that, and then they ended up bringing him in to paint that same mural here. So it was just a big stigma in the community, just to get the community support. It was the first act that's happened on U.S. soil since 9/11, right? And it's crazy to think that much talent on home soil, and the guy just comes and just takes it away. It just kind of puts things into perspective that wrestling ain't that hard. Life's hard. You could have any type of hardship in your life. We all have something that we can probably relate to of hardships we've had to deal with, and it's just more about like how are you going to react and what you're going to do to overcome it, and how you're going to move forward and learn from it, or you're going to dwell on it, right? So that's been my thing. That's how well trained started. Shot 6 times, 8 feet away. How did I do that? I was just well trained. I was well trained in life. I was an ocean lifeguard. I wrestled my whole life. You know, I did some cool training in the military, and for all that to bottle up on one day, one moment in time, you know, it's just what being well trained is. So like, it's bigger than being in Gulf Breeze, Florida, whatever. It's, you know, Blackwell trained, but then it's just like being well trained, having these opportunities, meeting with people, connecting with like-minded people helping people. That's how you get things done in life. You know, that's what you got to do. You find your niche, you work hard towards it, play to your strengths. And this helps me give me purpose. And I can say that's my biggest takeaway through this whole experience, is my purpose in life. You know, when you figure out what your purpose is, it makes things a little bit easier to navigate. Appreciate you guys spending the camp with us, and definitely coming out here and hearing my story and everything. Like, it's pretty awesome, pretty cool. All right, boys. Well, thank you. Yeah, man. No doubt. You guys welcome back. You going to my military man right there. He about to go serve. He about to serve. Yeah, boys. Oh, man. All right. Well, cool. Just come back and see me. Don't be strangers. Wall Train was established on the 1-year anniversary of the terrorist attack that I was involved with on December 6, 2019. We cut the ribbon to this gym on December 6, 2020. We haven't looked back, giving kids an opportunity to become elite, to become well-trained, and to become the next person in the world that's going to make a difference. Adapt, adjust, overcome, and find a way to win.